Karen, thank you first of all for being here. And I know earlier this year you actually had the acting part of your title removed. You're now the public guardian. Congratulations. It's an awesome responsibility.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it, and I'm very thankful that I've been given this opportunity.
You've been with the office for a number of years, and I think people maybe have a vague idea of what you do, but what do you and your staff do?
Well, the Public Guardian is an agency that is, we're considered like the guardian of last resort for people in the community who need guardianship, that have no family or friends or nobody in their lives who can serve in that role. And unfortunately, in some cases, they do have some family, but maybe they're not appropriate to serve at this time, or maybe they have their own health or medical conditions that precludes them from serving. So in those cases, when someone's been deemed incapacitated by the courts, we'll step in and serve in that role.
And so you physically do that? You take over? What types of things will you do for the person?
Well, there's a couple of different types of guardianships. You can have a guardianship of the person where you're responsible for ensuring their health and welfare and all their medical needs are being met. And then there's guardianship of the estate where you're responsible for all their finances, making sure that they have the appropriate benefits, that all of their bills are being paid. And then the third one is really that you're guardian of person and estate. So you're handling all the medical and all the financial.
So basically, maybe back us up a little bit. How does someone come to the public guardian's office or be made aware that your services exist?
Generally, we'll get calls from Aging and Disability Services through Elder Protective Services. They've become aware of someone in the community that needs assistance. We get lots of calls from hospitals where someone's in the hospital, needs medical decisions made for them, and unfortunately there's nobody in that position to be able to do it. We also get calls from law enforcement and sometimes family and friends who need some assistance with their loved one.
And so then they come to you. They've been assigned, as you say, the wards or...
Correct. Yeah, ward is a term that the legislature is trying to move away from. Last year, the Guardianship Commission actually met and determined that they wanted to change the connotation of ward to more of protected person. So they're moving towards using the terms proposed protected person before guardianship's in place, and once guardianship's in place, using the term protected person.
So how many protected people do you currently have?
We have about 380 active cases right now, and we have 8 full-time case managers. We also do have a Representative Payee Program, which is a voluntary program. There's no court involvement at all, and that's for over 60s, for seniors who are having problems paying their bills, making sure everything gets paid on time, and often may be at risk for being evicted or something like that. So we have an additional one case manager that manages that caseload as well. We're always looking for the least restrictive thing to put in place for someone. Guardianship is a very restrictive program and should really only be used when absolutely necessary. So we're always looking for alternatives, and the Representative Payee Program is one of those alternatives we have.
So that's something that people could just volunteer or come to you, and it's just another service that you offer.
It is. It's again for over 60s, and we actually receive a grant from the Aging and Disability Services Division to put that program out there for people.
As you say, you are a product of the state legislature. In fact, the legislature is looking at Assembly Bill 130, which might create possibly the office of a state public guardian. How would that affect the county's public guardian office?
From what I've been able to read on that, my understanding is it's more going to be of a compliance office. So they're looking for an agency to be able to review accountings that are given to the court, because the court and the judges and the court personnel just don't have the time, resources or ability to really look deeply into those accountings. And some of our guardianships have a lot of money involved in their estates. So it's my understanding that the state guardianship office wouldn't be serving as guardian for people. It would be an oversight of the current guardians that are in the community.
And you, in fact, share office space with the public administrator. How do these two offices interact?
Well, the public administrator's office administers estates after someone is deceased. So for us, our clients are alive and the public administrators, unfortunately, are deceased. We do share some key personnel within the office. And then, if we have cases where there's still no family, but we have an estate that needs to be probated, we will send that down to the public administrator if there's no one else to do that.
What are the fees for your service, and how do you establish those?
The fees for the public guardian are actually set by the Board of County Commissioners. It varies depending on who's working on the case. So the public guardian would have a specific fee, and then the case managers have an hourly rate. All our support staff, we don't charge or bill our clients for all the work that they do. It's for the case managers. We actually have warehouse staff as well who go in and secure property of our wards, and we store it, and then we sell it when we need to. But for the public guardian, there's minimal billing on the case. We're looking at the legal documents and things like that, but the case management part of it is where most of the billing comes from, and they bill per minute. So whatever much time they spend on an action or anything they do on that case, that's the time they bill. There's no block billing or anything like that.
And again, there are private guardians too, that are people that do this for a living. What's the benefit, or why should somebody choose public versus private, perhaps?
You know, it's definitely a personal choice. You know, private guardians are for profit. We know that going in, but there is still court oversight. Unfortunately, there's not that many private guardians in this state at this time, because the last legislative session, they actually put in some kind of restrictions on licensing and things like that. And it's quite a long process, because we want to make sure someone who's handling that money and has that much effect on somebody's life is appropriate to serve. But some people feel a little bit more comfortable with a private company versus a government agency. And some family members may choose, if they live out of state, they'd prefer someone in state who's a private guardian rather than a public guardian to serve in that role. So it really just comes down to personal choice.
People that work in your business always say you should have a will, and that is that something we should do? And is that something that even I could say perhaps now set up a public guardian or a private guardian, or have that in my will as a request?
Yes, the wills are very important, but also all parts of your estate planning is incredibly important, including powers of attorney. Powers of attorney are only valid if you sign them while you're competent. So often we get into situations where someone may have had someone in mind, they wanted to be their guardian and put it in writing, but unfortunately didn't do it before they got to a stage where they're incapacitated, they've now suffered a major medical condition and are unable to communicate. So putting that information in writing ahead of time will give the courts, will give our office an indication of who you want to serve. And if there's somebody nominated in your estate planning documents, the court's going to look at that person first rather than a public guardian to step in and do that.
Give me a typical client, a typical ward. How would someone come to you? What type of problems or incapacities would they have? And then how do you help?
We have a couple of different subsections. We deal a lot with developmental disability. We work very closely with Desert Regional Center, and I would say about a quarter of our cases are individuals with a developmental delay. So that could range anywhere from 18 to 100 years old. Then another subsection is seniors who are now, unfortunately may have some kind of Alzheimer's, dementia, something like along those lines. And then we have cases where someone's been involved in a motor vehicle accident, sustained a severe head injury. We've had strokes, and it's really good when we're able to get in, assist someone, and get them back to a place where they're able to make their own decisions, and then we step back out and they're able to go on. So we've had cases like that, but the majority of our cases, once we become guardian, unless another family member steps in, we remain in as guardian for the entire case, and unfortunately until they pass.
How has your caseload changed, say, in the past 10 years or 15 years, or do you expect it to go up or down in the future?
Our caseload, with the economic downturn that we had, we did lose some case managers, and we have to be mindful of the cases that they have so that we can appropriately manage their cases. So the caseloads do fluctuate. We kind of keep an eye on where they are, and we do have cases, referrals that are really pending a guardianship. So if we're able to work all those and get all those onto the caseloads, and they will go up. I do anticipate that we should see an increase. We've got some new case manager positions that were filled, and we've got one more left to fill. So I'm hoping once we get that, we'll get more cases on and be able to serve more people in the community.
And if somebody's watching this and realizes they may need this service for themselves or one of their loved ones, how do they contact you? What do they need to do next?
Well, they can go onto our website. We actually do have a referral system through our website. or they can call us. Our main telephone number, if I can give that out, is 702-455-4332. And that's, if you call that during regular business hours, 8 to 4:30, there's always a person available to answer questions within our office. We always have somebody on staff there to answer any questions. And the other good thing, if someone's looking to maybe do guardianship for a loved one, there's a really good website through the Legal Aid Center of Southern Nevada, through the Family Law Self-Help Center, and they actually have all the documents online that you need, the step-by-step instructions of how to get a guardianship. It's a really great website.
All right, well, thank you. We sure appreciate you being here and the amazing service you and the folks in your office do.
Thank you very much.